Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
So, welcome to our session, online session of counseling, MHI 6. So, this is the 7th block, which is consisted of 4 units. And these units are society, modern society. Now, perception of the Indian social structure by the nationalists and social reformers. Unit 25, studying caste in the new historical context. Unit 26, pattern of rural-urban mobility, overseas migration. Unit 27, social structure in the urban and rural areas. These are the 4 units. Today we shall discuss on these units. One by one we shall cover. Now let me know if you have got some question or some doubts. I want to get them clarified. First, put your doubts, put your questions, so that we can carry on with our academic activity, counseling. Now, I welcome questions from you. Yes, any question? No questions, Shraddhanjali? Today you will not ask any question?
No, sir. Today I don't have questions.
Huh? Today you don't have any question?
No, sir. Actually, I have not studied properly today.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
You see, there are certain points we may take up for discussion. For example, the nationalist and social reformers. What are their perceptions in the making of the nation? This will be the first point that we can discuss from the unit 24. Unit 24, there will be a vital question as well as a topic of discussion. This nationalist and social reformers and their perceptions of caste in the making of the nation. Then also we can have a second point of point we can understand, we can discuss, and we can also interact. And nationalistic perception of Indian social structure. And then there is another thing that we can also discuss, that is untouchability. Gandhian critique of untouchability. Gandhi's and his views on untouchability. And then migration issue that we can also understand, we can also discuss. And then we can also discuss about the concepts changing trends in the historiography of migration. These are some of the important points. If you try to find out from your books and you can read them, you can understand, no doubt, but we can discuss them. How did colonization affect the social structure in the rural areas? That is another vital question that you can also take up for discussion. So these are the things that I am just suggesting you that you should focus on these issues, on these points in this particular block, which is entitled Modern Society. They are important, and I think question may come from these topics or these issues in your examination, and we may also discuss this today. Anyway, if you don't have any question, then anybody present in this online class? Has anybody gone through properly this unit 7, modern society. Nobody?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, namaste.
Yes, sir. Continue.
Sir, there is a question whether caste was an invention of colonialism from the Unit 25.
Yes, you see, it is not an invention. Caste was not an invention of the colonizers. Issues centering around the caste was a handy work of the colonialism. It has been mentioned. I'm forgetting the name of the author, and it has been mentioned there clearly. Actually, colonial rulers, they made the issues concerning caste in an important way, in a very um, uh, intensive way, and that became very much um, mm, a topic of discussion, a topic of thought, a topic of um, analysis in the Indian society during colonial period. Also, it was reflected in the history writing, in the writing of Indian history, in the analysis of Indian sociological studies. All these things were focused. All these things, caste became a focal point. Otherwise, caste was there before the coming of the British. So it was a Portuguese word from casta. This caste word caste has been originated, and it means the graded position in the society. Graded position in the society means there were caste. We have already got this Varna system, which has been equivalent with or equated with the caste system. Later on, we said jati, and this jati, later on, it came in the name of kasta or caste, and then it was actually very much analyzed, as well as it was in a very intensive way highlighted by the colonial rulers in order to show the merit or demerit, whatever it may be, in the Indian society. But nationalistic scholars or nationalistic leaders of during the colonial period, when already freedom struggle had already begun, and there were different types of freedom fighters. There were some nationalists, there were some also rationalists, and there were also another type of freedom fighters. They were calling themselves as socialist. All these, among all these freedom fighters, nationalist freedom fighters, they were of the view that caste was originated and designed in a with a different intention. It was on the basis of division of labor. It was not to bifurcate or to divide the society. Fourfold division of the society was not the intention of the establishment of this Varna system, because we have already seen that in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that Chaturvarnang Maya Kara Sushtang Guna Karma Vivag. So I have already discussed this point before in this online classes, in this session of online class. So there is nothing more to be discussed. But one thing is that caste was not a invention of Britishers or the colonial rulers, rather making the caste to a intensive, the subject of an intensive discussion was the handicap of the colonial rulers. Okay.
Sir, how can we represent this question, analyze whether caste was an invention of colonialism or a legacy of Brahminical traditions?
Definitely, if we call it a Brahminical legacy of Brahminical tradition, there will be no mistake. It was a legacy of Brahminical tradition, no doubt. Brahminical tradition, which were equated with the Vedic tradition or Vedic culture. No doubt that is there. But simultaneously, we must understand. Hello?
Key points, sir. What are the key points we can note and describe
You
it?
can note. Oh, you can note down. Okay. Let me request Dr. Sau to bring this particular topic on the screen so that I can dictate the key points. Dr. Sahu, if you are present. Unit 25. Okay. Now, if you want to know key point, I'm just dictating. You may note down. You see, there was generally a view which expresses that Brahmanism represents a core civilizational value, and caste is the central symbol of this value. It means Brahman. First of all, as you said, Brahmanism, a caste is a legacy of Brahmanical culture or Brahmanical civilization. Some they argue in this way, and that is also true. It is the basic expression of the pre-colonial tradition in India. This was also there before the colonial tradition was established in India. But there are certain views, and the view was expressed by one Nicholas Dix, and his book is named Caste of Mind. In this book, Nicholas had argued that caste is a product of colonial modernity. It means he was of the view that caste was there, no doubt caste was there, but colonial modernity or colonial mindset had given an intensified position or intensified status to this caste. Otherwise, what he tried to say, that caste was in existence before the advent of the British. He only tries to suggest that caste became single and unique category under the British rule, which expressed and provided the sole index of understanding India. It means in British rule, colonial rulers, they tried so the Indian society and the main center, epicenter or the main thrust of Indian sociological study centered around caste. And that was the thing that Nicholas Dirk tried to mention in his book, Caste of Mind. And what Britisher did, and in course of making this caste as a pertinent point of Indian sociological study or to understand India or Indian society, what Britisher did, British reduced everything to a single explanatory category, and that category is the caste system. Social issue means it is evolving around caste system. They made caste as a measure of all things and most important emblem of all traditions. Britishers, they made the measure of all things. In order to measure all things in the society, caste system has to be evaluated or caste system has to be discussed. So in this way, caste was recast as the spiritual essence of India that regulated and meditated the private domain. So actually it is unit 1, unit 25. And unit 25. 25. 25:1. Just 25:1. 25:1. Correct. This is the person that I want to. Yes, now it is on the screen. Thank you, Dr. Sao. It is in what I was just telling. It is basic expression of the pre-colonial tradition of India. Contrary to this view, Nicholas Dix, in his Caste of Mind, argues that caste is a product of colonial modernity. By this, he does not mean that caste did not exist before the advent of the British. He is simply suggesting that caste became single unique category under the British rule that expressed and provided the sole index of understanding India. Earlier, there were diverse forms of social identity and understanding social identity of understanding India. The British reduced everything to a single explanatory category of caste. It was the colonial state and its administrator who made caste into a uniform, all-encompassing and ideologically consistent organism. This is the main view of Nicholas Dirk, who has expressed his view like that caste is a legacy of Brahminical traditions, but Britisher made it a very important issues concerning Indian society. It was the view provided by Nicholas Dick. Then we have also view provided by Orientalist perception of caste. There is another point, Orientalist perception of caste. You have to tap this point. We shall again. Orientalist perception of caste. Now, colonial construction of India, what is the opinion of Orientalist? And Orientalist, with their own cognitive views or maps and with the text explained by the Pandits, they provides their own view that their social model was explained by or based upon Varna, which was again based upon Brahmanism and Manu. You see, the social model was Varna based on Brahmanism and Manu. The early admiration of a golden age gave way to condemnation of Brahminical tyranny. William Jones translated and published Manu Dharma Shastras, or the laws of Manu. All these things are there. You may read them. And what they try to signifies, or what they try to focus, that even if it was a Brahminical legacy, it was made with a view for a better society, view to establish a better society, for better functioning in the society, as Guna Karma Vivagas of Gita's context. As that was the most important thing that Orientalists, they try to focus on this point, that what Britishers or colonial rulers are propagating, or are they are focusing, or they are stressing, is not true. But what is true, that it was based upon a view to bring a well-planned and well-functioned society where there will be everything will be in a better order. So there should be division of labor, and everybody should be assigned with their own respective work, and so that there will be no chaos, no confusion, and there will be some sort of coordination and cooperation among the members of the society. That is the view of the Orientalist. If you read totally Varnashrama Dharma, all these things, it means everybody should do his or her own work, and according to his own ashrama or abode or the stage, in which stage who is living, he should do that work, and according to the varna he belongs to. So that is the meaning of the Orientalist. Then there is also a view of foreign scholars like Max Muller. His view was based upon the caste on textual sources. So the same thing, the Max Muller has given a view on this matter. So these are the 3 points. On these 3 points, you have to carry on with your answer. You have to advance with your answer. First, the view provided by the Britishers, then Nicholas D's view, then the view of the Orientalists, then a short point or a short presentation of Max Muller. Okay, Rakesh?
Thank you, sir.
Then anything, anybody? The most important, this is one of the, it is not, this was not so important. You can understand it. But when there will be an issue of understanding nationalist and social reformers' perception of caste, and there you may find some sort of differences or some sort of difficulty. Have you gone through this particular? I mean, this is the unit. This is unit 24. This is unit 24. And this is perception of Indian social structure by the nationalist and social reformers. Have you gone through? This is the, anybody? Hey, Rakesh, have you gone through this chapter, this unit?
Yeah, sir, I have read it, but I have no doubt on this unit.
You don't have any doubt?
No, sir.
And then please, I would like to share your views on this unit. Can you share your view with me or with other learners, other members on this of this online class, and that we can understand? Actually, this is not only that you will ask question, I shall answer. You can also share your views, so that others, those who have not gone through properly, they can also understand. So just you put some special points I want to share with you. Special point, I mean some important points. If you don't feel it otherwise, you can also focus on certain points.
Hello?
Yes, Rakesh. I'm hearing.
Sir, I have read it, but not thoroughly, because this is your last class, so I want to conclude all these chapters in this unit and try to find my major themes which I can't understand. So I am read it overall.
Achha, okay, all right. Okay, nothing matter. Kichi katha nahi. Oh, kichi katha nahi. More kaya katha. If you understood, then it is okay. Very good. My point is that I want to suggest, I want to say there are certain things, ambiguities there. It is not very easy to understand. First of all, there are certain peculiarities, certain interesting things in this. Generally, in modern period, which we call modern period, can anybody explain me what is modern period? Can anybody just give me a hints that this is the modern period? From this time, modern period began. And this, I have already given you a hints of periodization while I was discussing it in, I think, second of block 2, periodization, or block 3, early medieval society. I was giving you very brief hints about this early medieval society, early medieval period, modern period. Now, so far India is concerned, colonial beginning of the colonial period has been equated with the modern beginning of the modern period of India. ଭାରତର ଆଧୁନିକ ଯୁଗକୁ ସାଧାରଣତଃ ଆମେ ଐତିହାସିକ ମାନେ ସୋସିଓଲୋଜିଷ୍ଟ ମାନେ ସମାଜ ତତ୍ତ୍ୱବିତ ମାନେ ସେମାନେ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି କଲୋନିଆଲ ପିରିୟଡ ଆରମ୍ଭ ସହିତ ସବୁ ଇକ୍ୱେଟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ କାହିଁ କରୁଛନ୍ତି because with the colonialism they are of the view that with the colonialism there came to India certain new wave of thought and these wave of thoughts were
In
designed
modern, hello, sir, modern age start with the Britishers when they come to India and they start business with the Indian king, and by this means the broad mindedness and the different type of new thoughts, new process of living, new social thinking, then style of living is started in India, and there is a global concept arises from this time, this modern time, I think.
yes right right. But thing is that I must add also modify your view to certain extent. Uh, because during with this British sir, there came some sort of print technology, so people got to know about many things through the printing media, and there were also books and their journals. They were periodically published, then they were published on the regular basis. So there was some sort of spread of knowledge, and this knowledge, according to some social reformers and some sociologists, that it came with the colonial rule, because colonial rule established a new sort of not only administrative unity, it also established a new social structure. It brought a new social structure as well as it also brought a new intellectual exercise. And what we see that during this time there were new thought. It came from Europe to India, and as you said that India now was placed in the global map. Its position was recognized throughout the world. In this way, there was some sort of interaction, and with this interaction and with this new developed atmosphere, changing atmosphere or changed atmosphere, there was some sort of reformative movement. These movements were reformative, not revolutionary movement. And when you say revolutionary, there was some sort of changes altogether. But reformative means reformation within the basic structure of the society. And these reformations were generally carried on by these reformers who were out and out nationalists. Nationalist means loving one's one motherland, nationalist. And as we see, this social structure, first of all, we have to understand this social structure. This social structure is a multi-layered, complex thing, and our perception order the multi-realities into a coherent whole. The reformist and nationalist in India in the 19th and 20th century witnessed a cultural encounter between their indigenous society and culture with the colonial modernity. It is a very interesting thing. If you go through your study material, block number 5, there was a confusion. There was some sort of encounter. We can say that that encounter was cultural encounter between indigenous society and culture with the colonial modernity. At the same time, colonial modernity was to be accepted, but at the same time, the age-old values, traditions cannot be discarded. Do you understand me? It means that colonial modernity, all sorts of new thoughts has to be accepted, along with the age-old tradition, age-old legacies, age-old cultural traits must also be kept in its proper order. So it was just like an encounter. It was just like a contradiction. I may give you one example here. Now, when English was introduced in India? When English was introduced in India?
Sir, 1835.
Okay. By which proclamation? Who was the Governor General and who was the man who was behind introduction of English?
Charles Bentinck.
No, William Bentinck. William Cavendish Bentinck. William Cavendish Bentinck was the Governor General. But who was the man who was in charge of supervising, who was in charge of studying the entire educational system of India and give a recommendation as per the instruction of Lord Bentinck? He was Macaulay, Lord Macaulay, and the Macaulay was the law members of the Governor General's Council. He was given the charge to go and study the entire educational system of India and to recommend a suitable medium of instruction for Indians to adopt, so that India could be imparted some sort of knowledge. Now Macaulay gave his report, and it is called Macaulay's Minute. Macaulay's Minute, and in this minute he recommended this English education, introduction of English medium of education. Instruction must be English. It does not mean that after Macaulay's Minute, there was English introduction of English education. Before, in 1817, there was already in Calcutta, there was establishment. There was a college established, which we call this college. I'm forgetting the name. Prince College. I'm just forgetting name. I'll tell you. This college has been already established, and who were the members? Who were the students? Who were the learner in this college? The learner or the students of this college, they were coming from rich Jamindar families. Rich Jamindar family, and also, so far economic condition is concerned, they were coming from rich Jamindar family, and so far the social position is concerned, maximum of these people were from higher class society, higher caste. Higher caste means Brahmana, Kayastha, or Kshatriya, Khandayat, like that. Lower caste people with a low social position, as well as with a lower economic position, they were not capable of entering this college. Prince College, that was Prince College. So after 1835, English was introduced, and there were some universities established in different capitals of governor of this colonial headquarters, like Bombay, Kolkata, Chennai, Madras, and they helped to graduate the people. And with what motive? Who motive नहीं कि British तार English education को introduce करथिला? Who motive नहीं कि English education को introduce करथिला? In order to educate Indians? No, definitely not. It was in order to make some subordinates under the colonial rules, subordinates officers. And now you see, and who were these subordinate officers, and who were these people they were attracting towards this job? These are the people were from this Kolkata, around Kolkata and around Bombay, this Bengali Bhadralok, jahan ko ame कहूछु Bengali Bhadralok, एवं एटी पारसी बाबा माने सेमाने मुख्यतः एटी जाउथिले काइना there was some sort of status, money, as well as some sort of dignified work, sitting inside the office under the very cool and comfortable position and working. And in this way, we can understand that these people, they went to English education. They went to learn English education. They went to English medium school, colleges, and university. But they could not discard their age-old tradition, their traditional value or cultural traits. And the interesting scenario we used to see in the Kolkata and in Bombay in those days, in the fag end of the 19th century, you can say that 19th century. What was general look of a Bengali Bhadralok? Can you say Bengali Bhadralok means wearing a dhoti, and over this dhoti there was a coat over the shirt, and there was a cap, flat cap on the head, and riding a bicycle or walking on with a stick and holding an umbrella. गोटे अम्ब्रेला गोटे छता धरिकी से चलथिबो एवं बाइसाइकल चलथिबो किबा चालिकी चलथिबो एवं धोती ऊपर कोट. Just you try to remember, it was just a contrast, and that is what I was just going to say you. There was an encounter between the indigenous society and culture and with the colonial modernity. So it could not be accepted there and then. Of course, there were certain social reformers like Raja Raman Rai, Dayanand Saraswati, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, then all these reformers, and there were also reformers like regional reformers were there. For example, Swaminarayan sect that emerged. Then here in Odisha also we have Mahima Gosai sect, which we call Mahima Gadi, jo Bhima Bhai Jontra thile. Then the Satnami movement in this Chhattisgarh area. All these movements, they were directed to social reformation, not revolution. And this movement, they vehemently objected caste system, but not eradication of caste system, nobody told. They objected inequality in the caste system. So they were in the view of a horizontal type of caste system, horizontal type of social division, not a vertical type of social division. So in this way, you will be astonished to know that when census was established, census was introduced in 1871 for the first time during Lord Ripon, and census was done on the basis of the population study was done on the basis of caste and creed. And you know what happened? It was the contrast of the modern time. Ajika samara se sampurna viparita thila. Maximum caste, those who were placed as lower caste, they were fighting to gain a position in the higher order. They were fighting to register their name with a higher caste. Now, आज कौन होची आज रिजर्वेशन पाया पे माने कोचे लोअर कास्ट को जीवा लोअर कास्ट सर्टिफिकेट दरकार होची क्यों सेतले हायर कास्ट को जीवा पे चाहतले so that they will be viewed with a respect and given a respectful position in every aspect and respect of the society. So this was the modern social perception of the social reformers in those time, and this was the thing that social reformer, they generally did not try to touch caste. They touch, criticize, but they did not try to revolutionize it, but they try to bring reform. And they, of course, they objected, also registered this child marriage. They advocated for widow remarriage. All these things they did with women emancipation, with other social taboos. But so far, this caste and Varna is concerned, they were trying to reform it in order to bring an equality, not to eradicate. So we have to understand this by reading in this particular unit in that way. So I think you will read and understand. Next, we have already discussed about the unit 25. Rakesh had asked me that caste was a Brahmanical legacy of Brahmanical tradition and invention of the British. Both is correct. It is a legacy of Brahmanical tradition, but British invented it as a focal point to discuss the social issue of India. So both the things we can have in a correct way. Then next, you may, anybody? How keep on kichi alojana karibani? Dr. Saul?
Hello, sir.
Rakesh.
Sir, there is a view of Anglicist and Orientalist. Can you explain?
Anglicist and Orientalist, it is a difference between two views. Those who Orientalist, those who upheld the ideas and ideologies prevalent in our Indian social order, Indian social context, and Anglicist, they were upholder or they were advocate, they were the we can say They were the propagator of this English view, English culture, English view, English tradition. We can say that those new modern thought came to India, and they were upholder of that view. While Orientalists, they were in the view of propagating as well upholding the traditional or the cultural traits of the land, of indigenous cultural traits of the land. That is the difference between Anglicist and Orientalist. Orientalist means Prachya, Anglicist means English. English knowledge, English English lifestyle, English philosophy, English viewpoint, all these things.
It is Paschatya, Western,
Western
related to
past.
Western.
That is Anglicized. That is called Anglicized. They have given a narrow, I mean, a very pinpointed name, that Anglicized. Paschatya means Occidental. ପାଶ୍ଚାତ୍ୟରେ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଯିବ, ମାନେ ୟୁରୋପ ବି ଯିବ, ଆମେରିକା ବି ଯିବ। ପ୍ରାଚ୍ୟରେ ଭାରତ ବି ଯିବ, ଭାରତ ପାଖାପାଖି ଯେତିକି ସାଉଥ ଏସିଆନ୍ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରିଜ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଏମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଯିବେ। ସୋ ଇଷ୍ଟ ଆଣ୍ଡ ୱେଷ୍ଟ, and that is the difference between this Anglicized and Orientalist. ଆଉ କ'ଣ ଅଛି question? Have you gone through?
Sir, hello.
Yes, Dr. Sahu, we can also discuss about the drain of wealth. Very good. It is a good question. But drain of wealth comes in the MHI 5. But I can discuss it. Drain of wealth.
Sir, hello.
Yes, I am hearing. You can go on.
Sir, I have a request. If you accept or don't mind, sir.
Okay,
Hello.
you carry on. Carry on with your request. What you want to?
Actually, there is a heavy rainfall, and due to this, there is a electric problem in our area. So my battery is very low, and it will be switched off in few minutes. So I need, sir, your phone number, sir. If you don't mind, you can tell me. Then I can ask you if I have any doubt till the exam.
Okay. Now, my phone number is 94392.
Yes, sir. 94392
4
4
2244.
94392 42244.
2244. It is there in your. I think you must have got my phone number, my name, while you got your intimation. Okay, you can ask me, but after 8 o'clock in the evening, I'm always free. But now colleges are also running. I'm going to college to take online classes. It is my regular duty. So you can ask me after 8 at any day. On any day, you can ask me. Now, Dr. Shah had put some question in the chat box. Drain of wealth. Then, what is the distinction? What is the distinction between jati and caste? Jati and caste. Yes, Dr. Sahu, these are the two questions you have put in the chat box, I think.
Yes. What is the difference between jati and caste, and can you discuss about drain wealth?
Now, jati, let me discuss it in the second point, second question. That is your second inquiry. Jati and caste. Very simply, if you want me to answer, there is a very little difference. Jati in the Indian context, Indian terminology. Caste is the terminology which has been derived from the word casta, as I have told you, Portuguese word, which indicates to graded social status or social position, graded social position. Now, coming to jati, jati is a term or a terminology which has been applied and used through the ages in Indian context to indicate the kind of work or kind of profession, kind of craft a person was carrying on, a person was conducting, and accordingly, as the work crafts, and they had become hereditary, which we call Kauliko Vritti, Kulagrata Vritti by Kauliko Vritti. So Jati also became hereditary. Jati means the work, type of work a person is doing, and that type of that determines the type of his birth and type of his family. That is Jati. We also apply this word terminology Jati, Kau Jatiro, Kau Projatiro. This is the thing. It is very simple. And Kasta is a word which has been first propagated by this Portuguese. When they came to India in the 16th century, they saw different types of people in the Indian society, and they applied this word Kasta, graded status or graded position in the society, because our work had been graded. They were assigned different grades. Works have been assigned different grades in the society. According to these grades, the grade of a person or status of a person was determined, and therefore there was some sort of vertical hierarchy in the social order. Because if we think that work has nothing to do with small or great, big or small, then it is okay. But when we just give work like teaching, learning is a higher type of work, then manual jobs, cleaning dirt and all these things, lowest type of job. So accordingly, the person performing this work, he was given a highest rank, and the person performing that lowest work was given lowest rank. And accordingly, when this became Kauliko Vritti and Kulagata Vritti became hereditary, and Jati also became hereditary. The person who was born, a child born to a person doing some menial dirty job, became a dirty man, or belonging to a dirty caste, became a Sudra, became a Chandala, became a Achava. All these things, these are all social complexities, social confusion, which we are still studying to find out a proper meaning. But for the time being, we must be satisfied with this definition and distinction between Jati and caste. These are terminological distinctions. It is to me, and there are sociologists, they may also differ, and you may also have some other dimension of knowledge. You can also share your dimension of knowledge if you have anything more. I am very glad to share it. Now, next, drain of wealth. You had put your question, drain of wealth. Drain of wealth, it was first designed and advocated by this phrase by one of the great nationalists, and he was also a staunch, he was a profound advisor of the Indian National Congress. I'm forgetting his name. He was there in England, and he was the man who first established Indian Association in England.
Dadabhai Naroji.
Sorry, thank you, Dadabhai Naroji. Dadabhai Naroji, I'm forgetting actually nowadays. Dadabhai Naroji, and Jinnah was his also protege. He was Jinnah got his patronage. So Dadabhai Naroji, he had advocated, he had coined this phrase, drain of wealth. And drain of wealth suggests this exploitation of Indian wealth, either mineral wealth, either agricultural product, either our labor, exploitation of our human labor, human resources, all these things which were exploited, and they found their way to England. That was the main reason or main fact of discussion behind this drain of wealth. For example, now British, they had come for the sake of trading. ट्रेड करिया पे आस्थिले ना कोन पे आस्थिले ट्रेड करिया पे आस्थिले व्यापार करिया पे आस्थिले सो दे इन कोर्स ऑफ टाइम दे एस्टैब्लिश देयर empire, or we can say their rule. And what was the motive of this rule? To give a better rule or to give a better administration to Indians? No, never. ଭାରତୀୟ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଭଲ ଆଡମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେସନ ଦବା ବା ସେମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ ଭଲ ସୁସ୍ଥ ଏବଂ ସମ୍ପଦପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଜୀବନ ଆଣିବା ତାଙ୍କର ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ ନଥିଲା ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କ'ଣ ଥିଲା to gain as much as possible out of this rule, out of this administration, out of this government. What they did at the first stage, when they got their right to collect Diwani in the province of Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. It was after Battle of Buxar. When Diwani was granted to them, what they did, they just established 5 circuit. You are okay. I will discuss why Buddhism was losing its ground. Okay. Now, in they established their 5 point in the Bengal province, 5 centers for collection of revenue. They at first appointed 2 Indians as deputy Dewan. They were Muhammad Reza Khan and Raja Sitabra, and they collected their revenue. And they were least concerned about the administration part. And administration part was looked after by whom? By the Nawab of Bengal. And this Nawab was a very minor Nawab, and he was the illegitimate son of this Mir Jafar. So from the outset of British administration, British rule, colonial rule established by the British, it was clear that British was in no way concerned with the administration of India, concerned with the government of India. It is in course of time. After Regulating Act 1773, then there was Peace India Act in 1775. Then there were other acts promulgated and they were passed in the British Parliament that East India Company had to enter into the realm of Indian administration with an interest as well as with some sort of responsibility. But at the outset, there was no such. They had come with the tag of a trader and they were just trading. They were trying to squeeze as much as revenue from Indians, from poor farmers, and out of that revenue they were purchasing raw materials for the England for to be fed in the factories or industries which were now cropping up. जो फैक्ट्री एवं इंडस्ट्री जो गुडा प्रथमे क्रॉप अप हे आस्तला सेमानको पई जिंस सब रॉ मटेरियल सब जाउतला एवं ए रॉ मटेरियल गुडा जाउतला सेठी कि किना होतला पुनी तयारी के आस्तला colonial बाजार थिला भारत नले अफ्रीका रो विभिन्न देश नले परवर्ती अवस्था रे अमेरिका. So in this way, if we say that this was the first trace of our wealth was going out, our wealth was going out, it was collected in the form of land revenue and it was spent in the purchase of that raw material, and these raw materials were purchased at a very low cost. The actual cost was not given to the farmers. Actual cost was not given to the agriculturalists. And again, they were sent to England, to different factories of the England for finished good. So it was very much visible in the sphere of textile industry. Our textile industry, indigenous textile industry, which we call handicraft industry, it was modern. It was modern, not only modern, what the British used to do, काले आमर भारतीय तंती माने तंतु भाई माने भलो सूता काटिबे एवं भलो लुगा काटि परिबे एवं बेंगल ले गुडा जगह रे ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी ऑफिसर माने से माने तांको बुढ़ा आंगुली मध्य काटि दउथिले माने तांकर थंब को काटि दउथिले सो दैट से सूता काटि परिबेनी कि लुगा बुनी परिबेनी so that our Indian handicraft industry must be modern so that in their place their finished good should be prevalent, should be spread out in the markets of India. And that was the first case of drain of wealth. And again, subsequently, this drain of wealth was rampant. Not only cotton was going, then along with cotton, there were like other things like indigo, which जाको हमें कहबा नीलो कौन पे व्यवहार हुए नीलो कपड़ा को प्रथम भाव में डाइंग करने व्यवहार हुए सो नील चाष कराला जबरदस्ती भारतर किसान मान को भारतर कृषक मान को जबरदस्ती करा जाए कि पैसा लोभ देखा जाए कि गाँव जमीदार गाँव महाजन मान थ्रो रे से जबरदस्ती जमी झोट एवं कटन नील एवं स्थल विशेष अफिम यही सब चाष सब करा दीज आर कॉल्ड कैश क्रॉप गुड़ाक बाहर को पठाउला एवं से क्रॉप रू जो सब जिनस तैयारी होतला ग्लोबल मार्केट भीतर बिक्री कराउतला सो इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर was no more confined to Indian alone. Indian agricultural product was no more confined to India alone. It had just entered global market. And who was the regulator of this global market on behalf of India? Colonial rulers. So in this way, our revenue, our mineral wealth also, they saw its route to England. Our agricultural products, they also saw their way to England. And England जो समय आमर आरंभ जाए इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन जो नुआ नुआ सब इंडस्ट्री खोलू थाए मेनली कॉटन इंडस्ट्री लंकाशायर मैनचेस्टर लंकाशायर यॉर्कशायर यही सब जगार इंडस्ट्री गुड़े को आमर भारत कॉटन एवं नील ताकू सब फीड करता सब से जोड़ा जोगौ था से जो फिनिश प्रोडक्ट आसता है सारा विश्व से जाता है सब बहुत जिनस अच्छी टी प्रोडक्शन आसाम रे ब्रिटिश आरंभ कला 1851 बेलू एवं परवर्ती अवस्था 1859 बेलू भारत टी समग्र विश्व बाजार रे आरंभ जाइथिला तार चाहिदा सो इन दिस वे विभिन्न प्रकार कैश क्रॉप थ्रू माध्यम रे हमर लैंड रेवेन्यू माध्यम रे एवं मिनरल वेल्थ माध्यम रे हमर वेल्थ ब्रिटिश माध्यम रे बाहर को जीवा को लागला एंड दिस हैज बीन कॉइन्ड एज ड्रेन ऑफ वेल्थ बाय as you told I'm again forgetting his name Dadabhai Naroj. Okay, Dr. Sau, now your another question. Buddhism, why Buddhism?
No, one more question is there. Can you discuss about the forest law of British government? Forest law.
No, I cannot now. I cannot do it now because I am very least aware of this law, and unless until I got some time to study it myself and properly understand, then I can explain it. At present, I cannot.
Okay, another question is that short note on Sanskritization.
That I can do it. Sanskritization.
Okay.
Now, Sanskritization is a broad phenomena. It's a very broad phenomena. Sanskritization, you can apply this theory, this concept, Sanskritization or this word Sanskritization to anything which is having some sort of process involving imitation. Sanskritization is a word which indicate to a process where a lower strata used to imitate the higher strata. For example, the word Sanskritization has been applied in case of Aryanization because Aryans were a race. It was a linguistic race, and this race was speaking Sanskrit. And when Aryan people, they migrated from Western India to this Middle India, that is Gangetic plain, which they call Aryavarta. Western India, they used to call it land of gods, they were called it Brahmavarta, and then to Aryavarta, then to Eastern India, then to Southern India. And in course of this migration, what they were doing, they were trying to influence, they're not trying intentionally, it was in the process, they were trying to influence the local population, and local population, mainly tribal population. And when this tribal population, they came in contact with the Aryan population, Aryan community, Aryan learned men, Aryan intelligentsia, they used to imitate their language. And the first thing, that imitation of the language, that is the Sanskrit language. And that imitation of Sanskrit language took the name of Sanskritization. It is this word. This Sanskritization word has been coined by one of the leading sociologist. For example, I think he is some Srivastava, Srinivasan. Some Srinivasan. He has coined this word Sanskritization to indicate some sort of imitation of the lower strata people, imitation of the lower strata people of the higher strata people. When some lower strata people used to imitate higher lifestyle of the higher strata people, people living at the upper hand or in a upper position, it is called Sanskritization. This Sanskritization word is a multifaceted word, has a multiple meaning, and therefore the sole only pinpointed meaning we can say that it was used with a view to understand the process of Aryanization in India. Okay?
At first, Sanskritization is known as the Brahminization by Srinivasan.
You see,
Digital
Srinivasan has
Brahminization.
called
So
it
accept
Brahminization, Kshatriyization, and this peasantization of the tribal mass. All these in toto altogether indicate to one word, that is Sanskritization. When we call Sanskritization, it includes Brahminization, Kshatriyization, all these things. And till now, Sanskritization, till now, I'm sorry to use this word till now. Now also, this Sanskritization is also used not only in the case of Aryan or non-Aryan community, also used when we just try to convey a meaning of imitation by the lower strata people, imitation of the lower strata people of the high strata people. That word also indicates the same thing. Next, this is the. You may have to get it. Indian culture, Indian society. There is a book, Indian Society and Culture. You can get this Sanskritization very clearly. It has been narrated. Now, then second, your question was, Dr. Sahu, why Buddhism experienced a demise in the medieval time? Hello? 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 Hello, Dr. Sahu, are you present?
Okay. Actually, one more question is there. In the beginning, the British did not try to intervene in the cultural life of the tribes. Why?
British was very, you see, traders are very wise. When we come to trading class, we see they are very wise. They are only after their profit. And your question definitely indicates to this dual rule. Daitya Sasana Jagwameko, dual rule. They were not interested in not only tribal, but also they were not interested in the affairs of Indian society. And you know, when there was Allahabad, Court of Allahabad Darbar, after Battle of Buxar, I'm giving you a very brief introduction, very brief narration of the situation after Battle of Buxar. What happened? British did not make any treaty, any agreement with any Indian power that were defeated. British कौनसी Indian power से तो कौनसी प्रकार treaty कलानी. Neither हमारा जो नवाब सुजाउद्दौला थे उधर आर माइक खोला चिट्ठी के बंद कर देले भल होता. नवाब सुजाउद्दौलांकर से तो कला ना हमर जो मीर कासिम से तो पड़ जाइले युद्ध हारि के तांको से तो करिया नतला ना बहादुर शाह से तो कला. So in this way, when Clive came, there was a darbar in Allahabad, and in Allahabad it is called Treaty of Alinagar. In this treaty, British was handed over the collection of revenue of Bengal province, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha province. British did not aspire to take the entire political power, political authority of Bengal. Of course, British had won the war in Palasi. British had won the war in Buxar. Yet, British did not try to take the political reign of Bengal. Why? Rather, British was satisfied with the dual government, and it was the brainchild of Clive, that there should be dual government. Mir Jafar's son will be the real ruler, and he will look after the administrative matter, and British will look after the economy matter, collection of revenue. It was because in collection of revenue, British is there. In, in collection of revenue, British will get some benefit because they had come to trade to get benefit to profit. So in the collection of revenue, there is benefit, but in the administration, there is no benefit. There is headache. So this is dual government. And when Lord Clive was asked why dual government, then Clive had replied very well that Britishers, they were new to India. British officers, East India Company's officers, when they were coming to India, they were new to India. They do not know the tradition, custom, culture, language of Indian people. This is most important thing. Now, as we know that when there is IS training, in IS training or IPS training in Hyderabad, now these IS trainees, they were imparted the language of the state to which they are to be posted. जो टेस्ट स्टेट कैडर से पाई अपॉइंटमेंट मिलिबो तांको आगे लैंग्वेज सिखा जाए कोन पई सो दैट अनलेस एंड अंटिल एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर डज नॉट अंडरस्टैंड द लैंग्वेज ऑफ द पीपल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर देन ही कैन नॉट जस्ट परफॉर्म his responsibility, his assignment, cannot perform. That is what Clive replied when he was asked in England that why you did not aspire for the whole political power of Bengal. You were a victorious power. Now, because we have no idea of language, custom, tradition of Indian people. And when we shall take up the administrative responsibility of Indian people, there will be a chaos. There will be a gap. We cannot understand them. They cannot convey. So there will be a gap. And that is why after it was in 1769 board of directors, they sent Hastings to conclude this dual government and to give an administrative framework to India. And there was 1773 regulating act, then Peace India Act. All these acts were directed to give a concrete administrative framework to Indian territory that has been conquered by British. Now, so far the tribal and other territories were concerned, British knew that it was very difficult to deal with the tribals, and that will be another headache. And there were Britishers had so many enemies in India. You remember, if you go through the Bipan Chandra's book, Freedom Struggle of India, Bipan Chandra जोटा हमर एनबीटी नेशनल बुक ट्रस्ट छपेची सेटा देखिबे फर्स्ट लाइन कोन लिखाइची the first line, introductory line is that not a single day was left after Battle of Plassey. British had not witnessed or experienced a rebellion or revolt in any part of the India. भारत रे इमिति गोटे दिन नाही बैटल ऑफ पलासी परे जो दिन की ब्रिटिश भारत रो कोन से गोटे स्थान रु कोन से प्रकार रिवोल्ट ता अगेंस्ट ब्रिटिश रिवोल्ट बा रिबेलियन एक्सपीरियंस करिनी ता माने British was facing a lot of problem. It was not easy. Resistance. There was Tipu Sultan from Mysore. There was Marathas, Peshwas. There were also different powers, small or big powers. They were not very much friendly to British administration. They were hostile. And if British interfere the tribal matter, then there will be another chaos, confusion. So British was gradually moving. So in 1804, when Wellesley came with this proposal of subsidiary alliance, gradually British was trying to grab territories after territories, not by war, but by diplomacy. And in this way, tribals also, they came under the British hegemony because of the surrender of their respective masters. तांको इलाकार जो सो मास्टर थिले राजा माने थिले सेमानको सरेंडर पर ब्रिटिश अधीन को ट्राइबल माने मध्ये आसले एवं ब्रिटिश हैज टू आल्सो एनकाउंटर a lot of tribal movement like Santhal movement, then Mopala movement, all these movements in Eastern India, South India, it had to face and it had to also curb. So this was the thing that why British did not interfere in the tribal matter at the outside. Later on it interfered. Yes. Next. Yes, Dr. Sao, this is the answer. And then next question, it was your question, Buddhism. Yes. Hello. Hello, Dr. Sao.
One more question is there.
Okay.
Why Buddhism was losing its ground in the pre-Muslim period?
You mean to say Buddhism was losing its ground in pre-Muslim period, and that is around 11th, 12th century AD. 11th, 12th century AD. Is not it? 11th, 12th century AD? Huh? Hello? Hello, Dr. Sao? Hello? Hello? Dr. Sao, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Your question is, it is pre-Muslim period means 11th, 12th century AD.
Yes,
around
yes, yes.
11th, 12th century AD.
Battle of Tarin, okay.
Battle of Tarai, much before that. Now, actually, I want to know your version, because you are also a student of history, as well as you were also a teacher of history. Now also you teach history. So as a teacher, as a student of history, you must have some opinion, and I will be very much obliged, as well as happy to know from you that what may be the cause. I will give my own version, but there should be a discussion on it. Can you give me 1 or 2 points what you have surmised, what you have, what idea you have developed on this issue?
Actually, the last dynasty was that Pushyabhuti dynasty. That was the last Hindu dynasty, and just after Harshavardhan, there was it was observed that Buddhism losing its ground because of the rise of Brahmanical religion. And Brahmanical religion became so flexible and so simple, people easily accepted it. So that Buddhism, and gradually what happens, Buddhism also was initially, it was so simple and easily accessible to the people, but due to the rigidity and the or you can say it could not percolate into the lower strata of the we can say Hindu religion. So, or you can say in the society. So due to the resistance of the Brahmanical religion, ultimately Buddhism is lose, or you can say lose its ground, in particularly in India. And due to the patronage of you can say the foreign travelers, or any other rulers of the countries like China and Japan and Korea or Thailand, you'll find Buddhism was so popular, not like India. So initially Buddhism emerged, and its origin is from India, but it could not be so popular like China and Japan because of the strong resistance of the Brahmanical religion. And Brahmanical religion, or you can say they codified or simplified the norms, and the you can say norms and or the social order, so that the people easily accepted, and easily you can say they became a part of the society. But Buddhism, it was so strong, you can say it was not so flexible, like you can say after the Harshavardhan. So it was found in the pre-Muslim period that the rise of, you can say, rise of Hinduism or Brahmanical religion, and the Buddhism and Jainism at the same time. Buddhism and Jainism both are losing its ground. because of the strong resistance of the India, or you can say Hindu rulers, and who patronized Brahmanical, you can say, order, and try to popularize it in their localities with the help of the Brahmanical priest or the local chieftains who are associated with the, you can say, the temples. So this is my view. And in the pre-Muslim period also, it was observed that the same thing, that the Buddhist temples were found, and the Muslim fanatics also tried to destroy it, or these Buddhist temples. But as it was found in Barabudur in Indonesia, or you can say in Afghanistan, so it indicates that there was a strong passion. I can say the Muslim, they had a strong passion for destroying the Buddhist temples. As you know, the wealth and resources were, you can say, it was one of the center of wealth and resources, and the Muslim, they had a great passion of looting and plundering the wealth and wealth of those temples, not only Hindu temples but also Buddhist temples also. It was found, one of the example, it was cited, noticed in Indonesia, in Afghanistan, where the Muslims, they ravished and destroyed some parts of the Buddhist temple. Some, it was also found that in some Buddhist Biharas also, or monasteries also destroyed by the Muslims. And as well as it was also found that the Hindu rulers, they did not give so much patronage to the Buddhist as it was in the case of Brahmanical religion. So this is my opinion, and these are the two major reasons that lead to the rise of Brahmanical religion. Number one. Number two, the Buddhist religion or law, you can say, lose its ground because of they did not get any patronage from the Hindu rulers, and as it was before. So, and you can find in China and Japan, it was so popular, and it was the one of the, you can say, their national religion, but it could not so in India.
You are right. You are right in your perception, observation also. You are right. You have just put it in a historical point of view, historical perspective. You are right. But I must add also, modify some of your statement. First of all, religious persecution was not new to India. Religious persecution was there present. When Buddha was there, religious persecution was there. So Brahmanical and Buddhist animosity between Brahmanical sect and Buddhist sect is not new. But remember one thing, these Brahmanical sects, from among the Brahmanical sects only, 5 disciples were there for the first time with Buddha. Buddha's 5 disciples from Brahmanical sects. So as long as Buddhism and Brahmanical sects, they were going side by side, there was no harm. When Buddhism tried to mix with Brahmanical sect, there was the gradual decline of Buddhism. I may clarify it. First of all, Buddhism did not die completely just after Harsha, because there was no patron. After Harshavardhan, India experienced mushrooming of different dynasties, mushrooming of different states, kingdoms. And there were numerous kingdom steps that I have already discussed in my 3rd or 4th class. Like there were the Rajput kingdoms, Pratyaras were there, Palas were there were Rashtrakutas, these 3 powers were there in 7th, 8th century AD. Then there were also some small power, like in Odisha, there were Gangas, there were Somansis, there were Bhumakaras. Then in south, there were Chalukyas, there were Pallavas, there were Cholas, there were Paramaras. In the west, in Gujarat area, also in Chalukyas were there, part of Chalukyas were there. So there were different dynasties. And very interestingly, we see that around 8th, 9th century AD, Odisha, Bengal, Assam, they became center for Buddhist activities. Now, if you go to Ratnagiri, Lalitagiri, Udayagiri, which is not very far out from Bhubaneswar, near in the Kotak in Jajpur district, near Dharmasala, you will find very good, well-planned, well-structured building complex, which were used as biharas for the Buddhists who were residing there, and they were being patronized by Somavansi king. We have records. We have land records patronized by Somavansi king. And interestingly, during this time, we also get Tibetan traditions. Tibetan tradition, जोंथरे कि भारतर बुद्ध धर्म कथा लिखा होची, बुद्धिस्ट संघ कथा लिखा होची, बुद्धिस्ट आचार व्यवहार कथा लिखा होची. Then all these things during this 8th 9th century, all these things were flourishing. Nalanda continued as long as 10th 11th century AD. Then it had to suffer a Muslim suffer some confrontation with a Muslim invasion. Then it was destroyed. It was burned down by Muslim invader. It is called that Bhaktiar Khilji was probably responsible for burning down the Nalanda University. It continued up to 10th 11th century AD. So Nalanda was there. People were coming to Nalanda. There were also Vikramasala University during this early medieval period, 8th 9th century AD in your Bengal. There is Ratnagiri University in Odisha. There it was a complex. Ratnagiri, Lalitagiri, Udayagiri, that was a complex. Puspagiri Mahavihar, it was called Puspagiri Mahavihar. A very good, very big Mahavihar. So just remember that thing. Then under this situation, when Buddhism was just existing with this, we can not even pomp and grandeur, with this status, then why it was gradually heading towards its downfall? Now, its downfall was lying with its own establishment. With its own establishment. Downfall of the Buddhist religion or Buddhist tradition or Buddhist sect was there within its own framework, within its own institution, within its own organization, within its own mission. You know, Buddhism was divided into two parts. That is which Hinajana and Mahajana, yes or no? Hinajana and Mahajana. But before that, Buddhism was divided. Before Hinajana and Mahajana, Buddhism was suffering from division, sectarian division, sectarian confrontation. And they were Theravadin and Mahasangika. Theravadins were the forerunner of this Hinajana. Mahasangikas were the forerunner of this Mahajana. Later on, Buddhism adopted this tradition of idol worship, worshipping Buddha as God. And gradually, Buddhism got divided into so many jana, so many sects. Mahajana again divided into Sahajajana, Vajrajana, and Tantrajana. So in this way, the gradual division, bifurcation of Buddhist order gave way to adopting Hindu or Brahmanical way of worship. Now, in Buddhist pantheon, there were Brahmanical god and goddesses were found to be placed. For example, Tara, for example, Kubera. All these Buddhist Brahmanical gods and goddesses were found in the Buddhist tradition. And Buddhism also began to introduce some of the Hindu and Brahmanical concept in its way of worshipping, in its way of religious pursuit, religious discourses. And around 11th, 12th century, and when these were rampant, then people gradually, they began to come to Brahmanical religion, not began to come to the Brahmanical religion. They found no difference between Brahmanism and Buddhism. It is my opinion that there is no difference, because there were gods and goddesses, number of gods and goddesses. Here also number of gods and goddesses. Polytheism was established in both the sects. Then why not Hinduism? If सान भाई बड़ भाई दीटा घर भितर सान भाई बड़ भाई घर आश्रय नहीं बड़ भाई घर को जीवा ना सान भाई घर कौन अच्छी सान भाई तो घर छाड़ी बड़ भाई घर आश्रय ना my point is that if Brahmanism is concerned or Hinduism is considered as bad bhai, then Buddhism is the san bhai, because you know Buddhism was a revolutionary sect. It was not heterodox sect. It was a revolutionary sect, heterodox sect. It was it revolutionized ideas against Brahmanical religion. So it cropped out from that same Vedic or Brahmanical religion. Say Vaidrika or Brahmanical धर्मरु तार उद्भव होइछि से सेम थिंग कहिछि बुद्धिज्म अहिंसा कथा ब्राह्मणिकल रिलीजन भी कुआउछि सत्य कथा ब्राह्मणिकल रिलीजन वैदिक रिलीजन भी कुआउछि. So when it adopted all sort of practices that were prevalent in Brahmanical religion, Vedic religious tradition, then why people will long for Buddhism? So they found the same thing in Brahmanical religion. It is colorful. It has many festivals, no restriction, as you told. It is also one of the fact. No restriction, no such imposition, strict rule and regulations. So generally, Brahmanical religion was the solace for everybody. And last but not least, the role of Sankaracharya. When Sankaracharya traveled far and wide of the entire India and tried to establish the importance of the Brahmanical faith, Brahmanical doctrine, and people could understand the Brahmanical philosophy, Hindu philosophy, Sankhya philosophy, Yoga philosophy. All these things contributed towards the demise of Buddhism before or during this Muslim invasion. Okay, so I just added a bit what you told. Your observation is also right. So, Dr. Sao? Dr. Sao, my presentation is over.
We are just waiting for any question of anybody who can ask question.
We can discuss. I thought you were
Anybody having a question?
Actually, in Ravenshaw University, one professor, one associate professor is there. I'm forgetting his name. He was giving a talk. Seminar, I was there. He had given a very good talk on Buddhism in Odisha and in Indian perspective. And he was showing that Buddhism was present as long as 17th century, 18th century. And it was also doing well.
I have a question, not to you, to the open platform, that presently in the newspaper, that historians from Odisha, they're claiming that Gautam Buddha was born in Bhubaneswar. I don't know how far is true. And they having a testimony or evidence, they are producing it. The Nepalese Tarai region is itself in Bhubaneswar area or in old town. How far is true? Can you point out?
Actually, it is a matter of laughing stock. They became a laughing stock. It is not a new thing. Actually, this matter actually, it was publicized in the 60s. Towards the fag end of the 60s and the beginning of 70s, it was publicized that Kapileswara village, Kapileswara near Bhubaneswar, was the village where Gautam Buddha was born, and this village became Kapilavastu later on in Buddhist canonical and Buddhist literature. This village name was given Kapilavastu. Actually, Buddha was born in Kapileswara, which is situated in the vicinity of Bhubaneswar town, near this Balipatna or Balianta block, Kapileswara. So they suggested there was a inscription which was unearthed in that Kapileswara village, and it was sent to Kolkata Museum for study, and it was found that it was a fake inscription. There was one scholar, I'm forgetting his name again, he had written that article, and it was published in 1978, 74. This Kapileswar concept was not new, it was very old. Again, people are trying to revive it now. They are trying to revive it. It is a matter of very laughing stock. Professor A.L. Basam, then there were also Buddhist scholars like N.K. Sahu. N.K. Sahu is a great Buddhist scholar of Odisha. So N.K. Sahu, amara Nabin Kumar Sahu, je ki thile Vice Chancellor, Sambalpur University. So there were other Buddhist scholars. They have all studied this inscription, then all the literature, and come to a conclusion that this Nepalese Kapilavastu was situated in Nepalese Tarai. And Nepalese Tarai is not in Bhubaneswar, it is in Nepal. That is in between Bihar and Nepal border. The border area which is in between Bihar, Vaishali region and that is Nepal. That is the Nepalese Tarai, where Kapilavastu was a small state where Buddha was born. It has been established. We are just we are making history a subjective, very subjective. That our region, Odisha, should be highlighted as the birthplace of Buddha. No, what Odisha is, what Odisha is. If I don't have any money, then I am not required to borrow and make myself a wealthy man. It is not the thing. So in that way, it is not actually like that. We have several times we have discussed on this matter and we have laughed a lot. Okay. Yes, Dr. Sao, anything you want to say? Now, nobody had any question, Dr. Sao. So, what is your opinion? Please put question if you have. Please, learners, you have questions. You put. We can have a discussion, very well, very healthy discussion. Sadharjali did not ask any question today. She used to ask always. Sarmila also used to ask question today. These very sincere students, they didn't ask any question. So, Dr. Sao, have you any other questions so we can discuss?
Participant. So from my side, on behalf of the student, whatever is possible, I am putting it just to continue the session.
No, nothing worry. We can continue session with so many things are there to discuss. We can also discuss as we discussed about this Buddhism. There are also other matters which interesting matters we can discuss. That these are called this controversial issues on in history, controversial issues. For example, as we are discussing, Sarmila, you are going to ask any question? Yes.
Sir, sir, describe the religion in the Mopal and Munda uprising. Sir, describe the role of religion in the Mopal and Munda uprising. Sir, unit. Sir, block 8, sir.
Block 8.
Unit 31, sir. Question.
Dr. Sao, please, can you help me putting studying tribes under colonization? Popular Protestant social structure. Block
Which
8.
unit?
Which unit?
31, sir.
Popular Protestant social structure. Oh, Mopal uprising. Yes. Please, unit 31. Just I gave you it's Mopala uprising, South India, Kerala, then Munda. ଟିକେ ଉପରକୁ ଯାଆନ୍ତୁ। ହଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି, ଯାଆନ୍ତୁ, ଚାଲନ୍ତୁ କହିବି। ତାପରେ ଏଇଟା କୋଲୋ ଅପରାଇଜିଂ, ଏଇଟା କୋଲୋ 1831 ରୁ 1832 ଭିତରେ କୋଲୋ ଅପରାଇଜିଂ। ଏଇଟା ଆମର ଛୋଟନାଗପୁର, ଛତିଶଗଡ଼, ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଏଇ ସବୁ କୋଲୋ ମାନଙ୍କର ଅପରାଇଜିଂ। ଆମର ସାଉଥ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆର ଏଇଟା ମୁଣ୍ଡା ଏଇଟା ଠିକ ଅଛି। ମୋପାଲା uprising rose 28 times against exploitation of Genoese or landlords. There was participation of only 349 Mopalas in these outbreaks. However, what distinguished their violent revolt was permission of Islam in inducing them to rise against the landlords. Though illiterate Mopalas did not understand the doctrine of Islam correctly, but they believed that by killing Genoese and then by facing death, they would attain martyrdom. In this form of protest, they were symbolically prepared by their wives. Now, this is Mopalas lived in Malabar, where they were either leaseholders, Kanamadars, or cultivator, Berupatandars. They were Muslims and were subjected to growing authority of Hindu upper caste landlords. There were Nambudri and Nair Genoese. The British policies further strengthened their hold over Mopalas. They lived in small villages and had to very limited resources. It was the mosque which provided them identity. The number of mosques rose in Malabar is there's କିଛି କଥା ନାହିଁ, ମୁଁ ଖାଲି just ହଁ ବୁଝେଇ ଦିଏ। এটা Mopala, they were agriculturists, common men, agriculture. They belong to Islam. They belong to Muslim community, and they were actually peasants who were living under the Nambudri Brahmins and Nair Genoese, who were very dominant in Kerala. Kerala, that is Malabar coast means Kerala. That is the western coast of India, the western tips of India, where Mopalas were living, and the British policy that followed after 1800 around early part of the 18th century, 1800 or 19th century, British policies strengthened the hold of the jamindars, the landlords, and as a result, Mopalas were subjected to exploitation at the hand of the Nambudri and Nair Genoese. And Mopalas, in order to counter that exploitation by the Nambudris and Genoese, they rose against this exploitation, rose against this Nambudri and Genoese, against this exploitation. And it is generally held that they rose into revolt for 28 times, and they were even prepared to murder or kill these lords at any time. However, Mopala movement or uprising was subdued by the Britishers. With the help of the Britishers, these Nambudris and Genoese were capable of subduing or suppressing the Mopala revolt. However, at the last, Mopalas were allowed certain concession and their rights were restored so far their land rights and their property right was concerned. This was Mopala revolt. Then Dr. South, 31.7 Mund uprising. 31.7. This is ଟିକେ ଏଟା କଟି ଯାଉଛି, ଟିକେ ଏତକ ଆସିବ। ଠିକ ଅଛି। Now, this Munda uprising revealed how tribal community responded against the exploitation. As Dr. Sahu, you have asked me this question at the outset before some time, that why British did not venture to interfere in the matter of the tribals. It is because of this, the actually answer lies in this three uprising: Santala uprising, Munda uprising, and this Mopala uprising. You see, tribals, they were very much sensitive and they were very much against the exploitation. And when there was some sort of exploitation, tribal used to rose to the account. And here we see that penetration of the colonial administration in the area, this Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and Odisha, the western part of Odisha, Keonjhar, and Sundargarh area. These areas, when they experience this interference of the colonial administration, along with colonial administration, there was another thing which created a chaos in the minds of the minds and hearts of the tribals. That was the missionary activity of people, this Christian missionaries, that created some sort of dissatisfaction among the tribal. So under the leadership of Birsa Munda, these rivals, Mundas, they successfully united themselves and they rose against their exploiters. Next page, Gujiba. Next page, Gujiba. So the tribe resided in the region south of Ranchi, that is present Jharkhand area. Land holdings were based on tribal lineage, or which is called Khuntokati land system. It was on the basis of tribal lineage, and this was eroded by merchants and moneylenders. Moneylenders and merchants, that is Mahajanas, they were gradually trying to interfere into these tribal rights of the on the land. Mahajanas, they were trying to forcibly capture their land, and that was one of the cause the Mundas resorted to a peaceful method of objection. When this peaceful method was could not bring any success, they come out on a violent revolt, and it came in the form of Birsa Munda, and he was born in 1874. All these are the history of Birsa Munda. We cannot go in that way. So Birsa Munda came under the influence of Christianity and mixed many of its belief in his religious spiritual formation. It was in 1995 that he had a vision of a supreme God. He claimed that himself to be a prophet. Material type. Here it has been mentioned clearly in 1895 that he had a vision of Supreme God. He claimed himself to be a prophet having miraculous healing power. Healing power. Soon thousands of people flocked to hear the new word proclaiming an immediate deluge. For extending help to the Sardars in their struggle, Birsa was jailed in 1895. After 2 years, when he was released, Birsa had become more determined to fight against oppression. In 1899, a series of night meetings were held in the forest. Birsa exhorted gatherers to kill Thakedar, Jagirdar, Raja, Hakims, and Christians. Thakedar, Jagirdar, Raja, and Hakims. Thikadar, the contractor, Mahajan, and Jagirdar, Jagir Neji Jami, Raja, Hakims, those are people having medicants or medicine men, and Christians, those are missionary. He promised that guns and bullets of enemies would turn into water. There was faith in the miraculous power. So this is about the Munda uprising, and you can very easily, it is very clearly written, and there is nothing to explain. I think you can understand, Sarmila. If you read them clearly, you can understand. So Munda uprising and Mopala uprising, they were both aimed against the oppression of the higher class people like jamindars, like landlords, against the lower class people or landless laborer or landless worker or landless peasants. Either they were some tribal people or they were some people without any land. Mainly these tribal people with a very firm belief in their own tradition, custom. When their custom and traditions were violated by the external forces like colonial rulers or like Christian missionaries, they became violent against this oppression. They took it as a matter of oppression. ଗୋଟେ ଶୋଷଣ ଭଳିଆ ସେମାନେ ଏଟାକୁ ଦେଖନ୍ତି, and they took it as an oppression, and they violently revolted against all this oppression, all this injustice. For them, these oppressions, this violation of their rights was nothing but an oppression and injustice to them, and that was the cause, because of the Mopala and the Munda uprising. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So, Dr. Sahu, I think there was no more question. I hope.
Sir, can you please explain about rise of middle class? Unit 27.
Rise of middle class.
Yes, sir.
In
Unit
colonial
20
era.
Sir,
Colonial
Unit
rule.
27. No, in
Okay,
social
social structure. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Sahu, please, Unit 27, please. The rise of middle class, the 17.1, 27.1. You see, it has been clearly mentioned here. The rise of middle class was a product of internal changes and external pressure associated with colonialism. I had already told you that when there was some sort of occupation was often, jobs were often with the introduction of English education, and there was some avenues where British used to do some cash crop or agriculture. Agriculture was based upon cash cropping, and then the British also tried to import and export the things. There were some port towns where the people from this hinterland or from villages area, they went and settled around these port towns and in big cities, and they were provided with some job, and they also tried to, out of the profit they gathered from this cash cropping or from this from the work of the contractor, labor contractor, they also these people, they also did the work of labor contractor. So from this labor contractor, whatever they got, the money they got, they utilize this money for the purpose of opening new industries, factories in the areas like Bombay, then Kanpur, Ahmedabad. So it was one of the step towards the rising of a new class, and this class was the middle class, which was heading towards capitalist class. Now, coming to middle class, this elite people, those people, newly educated people, newly English educated people, entering into this company job or colonial job of colonial rule, they also formed a middle class. They also formed a new class, that was the middle class, that is called middle class. And it has been mentioned here, according to Professor B.B. Mishra, there was a lack of middle class in the modern sense of professionals in the pre-colonial period in India. Bharatare colonial period पूर्व middle class बोली किसी नथिला, कौन थिला? Either high class, ruling class, or the ruled, that is the peasants, not on the middle class कहले अल्प किछि traders मानको बुझौतला, traders जो माने व्यापार वाणिज्य करूथले, and they were also not considered always as, they cannot be considered always as middle class. And he relates this to lack of sufficient urbanization, because there was not sufficient urbanization, no trade and commerce, no such things which will generate human labor or human resources. So there was no such middle class concept. As I told you, when there was some port towns were established, Kolkata, Bombay, Chennai, Madras, all these port towns, they attracted people from the village. These people, either they were engaged in the port as laborers, or some people were there to work as labor contractor. They collected laborers and they employed this labor in the port and in different works in the urban areas. These port towns gradually they became cities, they became urban areas. So here BB Misra has given a very sufficient proof that there was no such urban centers in the pre-colonial period. So there was no such concept of rise of middle class. So although colonialism produced economic stagnation and backwardness in India, it also created the professional classes. I told you, professional classes. It means there were labor contractors, there were also people engaged in the tea plantation, people engaged in different, I forget to mention, there were also some units, processing units of the agricultural product, processing unit of agricultural product. For example, different agricultural products were coming from the village and they were processed before they were exported to outside India. Process. So some people were also engaged in this professional work. And I have also mentioned he relate to this to lack of sufficient urbanization period, rigidity of indigenous caste system, nature of aristocracy, bureaucracy, dominance of clergy, and lack of professional character of service gentry in medieval towns. Although colonialism produced economic stagnation and backwardness in India, it also collected the professional classes comprising modern lawyers, doctors, teachers, managers, engineers, journalists, and so on. So not only labor contractor, laborers, or professional unit or food processing units, those newly educated men, newly educated people, they came with different profession, came into different profession. These professions were doctor profession, lawyers, managers, engineers, journalists, etc., teachers, etc. And you know, this freedom struggle was led by maximum members of the freedom struggle leaders. Leaders of the freedom struggles were from lawyer community. There are, you may say, Motilal Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, even Mahatma Gandhi, all these were barristers, lawyers, and they had a very good income. So all the colonial journalists also, the modern intelligentsia, और टिक्के ऊपर उठिए, और टिक्के ऊपर उठिए, हाँ, ठीक है, hey जो एतिकी तो बुझेगी. The modern intelligentsia was different in taste, outlook, and behavior from the service gentry of the pre-colonial societies. The changes in social and administrative structure required a new class of educated Indians. As I told you, new class of educated Indian. Which educated? English educated Indians. And new class of educated Indians who could manage social affairs and institutions that were established by the British. And that was the main cause behind the rise of middle class. Number one, urbanization. First of all, you must understand it in point-wise. That is, urbanization because of economic activities. Economic activities, no doubt, exploited Indian economy. But remember, when it was exploiting Indian economy, at the same time, as a counter effect, it was also providing scope for urbanization, scope for agriculture. And because of this, there were so many professions, so many jobs which were generated out of this process of urbanization and cash crop cultivation. And similarly, because of the introduction of English education, there was a newly formed, and there came out a newly formed class, and that class was a class of intelligentsia. And among this class of intelligentsia, there were a number of professionals, and these professionals were all white-collar professionals like lawyers, doctors, teachers, and other professions, other highly respectable profession. And these professional classes, along with these urban elites, they contributed towards the rise of middle class. Okay, so Danjali?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You go through with this person. If you go through this person, you can understand very well. It has been clearly mentioned.
Sir, actually,
yes?
this page is not printed in my book. It's
Achha.
completely blank, middle class.
Oh, then you say, do one thing. Dr. Sao had also given you some hints. Yesterday he was giving some hints. You go to e-course, e-GYANO there from
Yes, sir.
you
Yes,
can
sir.
you
I
can
have
also
the
download
copy.
download the
Now
study
it's
material. The person which is not which are not visible in your book or your blog, you can also download from your e-GYANO IGNOU website. Okay, that is not a very big problem. You can do it always. Okay. Any question? Anybody else?
Sir,
So yes.
sir, next question is explain about the main provision of the Criminal Tribes Acts 1871.
That I think that is block 8.
That is yes.
Yes, block
Block
8. This is block
block
8.
8, Unit
Block 8.
28. Unit
Unit
28.
28, colonial
Yes.
forest policy and criminal tribes, and
Yes,
that
sir.
was that Dr. Sao Dr. Sao had put the question. I told bluntly, I told that I cannot do it because I had not gone through. Anyway, if you had asked me question, then I will try to clarify your doubt. Let me have a look at this material. I can also try to my level best to solve your problem. Uh,
28.6.
28.2.
28.6. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Uh, 28.2. This is 28.2, Forest Act and Ecological Warfare. Actually, British, after around in the beginning of the 19th century, that is 1810, 11, 10 and 12, British could realize that it had some responsibility as well as for the greater interest of its own profit, as well as for its own greater interest. It should enact some act. It should enact some law for the protection of the jungle. And during this time, there was jungle was not only being looted, there was large-scale destruction to jungle. Therefore, British enacted certain law to protect the jungle. And this is when 28.2, you will find this different demand, different commercial demand of the jungle, because then the plantation activities, then there was some sort of demand for the teak wood. All these things have been mentioned here in this block, but your question is something different. It is in 28.6, criminal law, forest policies and criminal tribe, like Thoks, tribes like Thoks, and there were different criminal tribes which were living in the forest, and they were looting the people and murdering them in course of their journey to different places, and that was being stopped by the British. That we'll discuss. Dr. Sao, please present 28.6. This is. Can I have a large font? I mean, it is in 114. Make it please 150 so that I can have a clear look. Yes, और टिके बड़ा करी होबो कि एटा फ्रंटटा साउंड नो फ्रंटटा टिके बड़ा करी कि yes. Yes, you see, this is a wide variety of ideological elements converged in the making of criminal tribe ideology. Brahmin subordinates of British officials were always apprehensive of nomadic and wandering groups outside the institution of caste. British tradition also associated forest with crimes and outlaws. The hereditary West theory of crimes that was popularized in Europe by Cesar Lombroso perceived the criminal man as a separate species with specific hereditary and anatomical features. These beliefs in the professional and hereditary character of crime was commonly prevailing among the colonial administrator of 19th century. The Criminal Tribe Act 1971 provided for registration of all and any member of such tribe who were notified at criminal tribe. The registered members had to report themselves to the local police authority at fixed interval time and notified their place of residence or any internet charge of residence. Any contravention of this legal provision invited severe punitive measure. And this person clearly mentioned that British tradition has something peculiar outlook which is associated with forest crimes and outlaws. Generally, British tradition, in the British tradition, the dweller inside the forest, they were looked down as they were associated with a crime. Forest is a place where British tradition associate with crime and outlaws. कहया कथा होची ब्रिटिश ट्रेडिशन अनुसार जंगल होची गोटे जगह जो थरे कि क्राइम होई परिबो एवं क्रिमिनल माने मध्ये जंगल ले लुचिक रही परिबे एवं ए थियोरीटा यूरोप रे बहुत दिनरु प्रचलित एवं सेति पई ए बिलीफटा मध्ये जो ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर माने आसुथले 19th सेंचुरी जो ब्रिटिश एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर माने भारत को आसुथले से माने सेही बिलीफ नै कि यूरोप रु बा इंग्लैंड रु भारत को आसथिले एवं सेही बिलीफ नै बा सेही विश्वास को नै सेही आउटलुक को नै से माने क्रिमिनल ट्राइब एक्ट तैयारी करथिले 1871 मसिया रे एवं जो जंगल जो ट्राइब माने रहउथिले जो बले ट्राइब माने जो माने टिके देखिबा को मिलेछ बलिया बा देखिबा को भयंकर स्वरूपर सेमाननको पई दरकार थिला से माने निजो को रजिस्टर्ड करिवे सरकार सहित एवं लोकल पुलिस अथॉरिटी पाखर जाई कि से माने गोटे निर्दिष्ट टाइम रे निर्दिष्ट समय रे हाजिरा पकेबे एवं एटा होची गोटे टाइप रो गोटे ट्रेडिशनल लुक ट्रेडिशनल बिलीफ ऑफ द ब्रिटिश which had made this act to be promulgated in India. Okay?
Yes,
Sharmila,
sir.
your question or Bidut Lada, you have asked. Okay? And this is
Sir.
the brief description which I just try to explain it going through this introduction part. And
Yes.
if you go through the entire things, you can have a better understanding, I hope. If you cannot, then you may ask me also over
Yes.
telephone or in next class if we will meet. Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hmm.
Sir,
Rina, yes.
sir, describe the Harley system in the South Gujarat.
Ali,
Yes, sir. Harley system in South Gujarat.
it is associated with which tradition? It is associated with which tradition?
Sir, unit 30.4.
Unit 30.4.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Saab, please help me to present Unit 30.4. Unit 30.4. Dr. Saab, can I have a glimpse of this Unit 30.4 on my screen? Dr. Sao, are you present in the class?
Yes, I am present.
Please, can I have this unit 30? Irina, unit 30, which point?
30.4.
30.4. .4. Yes, it is your question, Rina. Rina, have you study material with you now?
Yes, sir.
Just give me the reading. Please read out. I am not getting it. I don't have a study material at my hand, so I cannot go to the screen. That technique is not known to me. Just want to know. Please read out.
सर इन दिस पेज मतलब ये पेज में ठीक से नहीं दिया है सर, मतलब थोड़ा मतलब उसका प्रिंटेड ठीक से नहीं है.
अच्छा. Okay. Let me see. Just give me 2 minutes. I am just coming with the answer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Reena, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
You see, there is some problem in the connectivity of Dr. Vijay Kumar Sahu, our Assistant Regional Director. Therefore,
Yes, sir.
it could not be presented. It is always advisable to go to Google and get different kinds of explanations. Okay, because there is some problem there, on the part of the counselor also, because he doesn't have the study material, and it is a unique thing, the Harley system. So
Yes, sir.
if you can wait, it is better. Otherwise, you can go to Google and get whole sorts of explanation about it. Okay, now the learning spectrum is so broad, you can get whole amount of learning content. Even if you go to YouTube and if you search, you will find so many lectures on that. That is also one way of getting the doubts clarified. Dr. Ashok, if that is traceable, that is all right, or else we can explain this.
Oh, oh, okay, okay. Dr. Hota is present. I don't have an idea anyway. And now I'm actually I'm trying to get it. Actually, these are all everything cannot be kept in mind. Actually, I'm trying my best.
Okay.
Actually, I don't have.
Actually, dear students, one thing I would like to make it very clear that the study material which is given to you or the material that you have downloaded from the internet or IGNOU's website, they are self-learning material. To a great extent, you'll be able to understand by yourself, but still there are some hard spots or hard points which are very difficult to understand, and those things we will definitely clarify. And suppose something is not properly clarified or you have still some doubt, you can send a email to our program coordinator, that is Dr. Vijay Kumar Sahu, or our respective counselor. They will also explain to you at a later date or later time. Okay, so that is absolutely not a problem.
Yes, I've got this Harley system. Oh, yes, I have got it. Now, this Harley system is a system which was prevalent in South Gujarat and concerning the centering around Bardoli. And this Bardoli Satyagraha was the main cause against this Harley system. Now, this Harley system was based on the tribal agricultural laborer. Hello? Hello?
Yes, you can
Hello?
go ahead. You can go ahead. Your voice is clear.
Tribal agricultural laborer and the high caste landlord. I mean, high caste landlords in Gujarat, they were called Patidar. And this Patidar, later on, they were known as Patels. And they were landlords with a huge amount of lands. And what happened, used to happen, they used to recruit these tribal people on the basis of some agreement to give some money or some cash money or some amount of their crop. And this system had grown up out of this arrangement between the landlords, which were called Patidar, and these tribal laborers who were working in this agricultural field of this Patidar. And this is called Harley system. And this Harley system had many difficulties, many low points, and they were constant. These tribal laborers were victims of exploitation. They were victim of constant exploitation. So there was some sort of riots as well as resistance movement. And one such movement was Bardoli. Centering Bardoli. It was called Bardoli Satyagraha. And you must have heard our first Home Minister, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And he led this movement, Harley movement, in Bardoli, and he was given the title of Patel by Mahatma Gandhi. This is the brief accounts of Harley system. Okay. Who had asked, Rina?
Yes, sir.
Rina? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. I think I have convinced you. Are you convinced?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. You are welcome. Dr. Hota, you are present. I had no idea that I was thinking that I was just going on, and Dr. Savi was present there. So anyhow, I am now okay. Namaskar. Namaskar.
I am Dr. S.K. Tripathi, not Hota.
Sorry, Dr. S.K. Tripathi. Okay. Suresh bhai, okay. I'm sorry. Actually, for last 2.5 hours, I was giving deliberation, and so many
things. It's very interesting. Actually, I'm very much thankful to you that you came online and you supported the students academically. I know that you have vast experience, and our students must have been benefited immensely out of your deliberations. You see, and one thing is very clear, that everybody is not omniscient. Even the teacher is a learner, and every learner is also at times teachers. So it is a kind of learning from each other's experiences. So you see, sometimes even You must have heard about of the great scientist Einstein. Sometimes you see he asks peculiar questions, very silly things, and it is something which is not laughable. You see, everything is having some importance, and
Actually,
our
there is an incident when Einstein was traveling in a bus, and he gave the bus conductor some money. Bus conductor refunded some money. So Einstein told that it is not correct, it is not right. You have given me some money out of miscalculation. And conductor replied, "Have you not? No, have you not? Have you? Don't you have slightest knowledge of mathematics calculation?" So it was Einstein. He has mentioned it in his biography. Yes, of course.
you see, he forgot the address of his own house when he was traveling in a taxi, and he was asking the taxi fellow that, "Have you seen the house of Einstein?" He himself is asking. He forgot. Hey, when the taxi driver asked him where to take the taxi, he said he could not reply the street, etc. Then when the taxi driver knew that this is the Einstein, he said, "Sir, you don't worry, I know your home address, so I will take you to your home, no problem." So it is something, you see, learning is a vicious circle, and it is something which is very enjoyable, and we must have to enjoy every moment in our learning situation.
Actually, we are actually. At the outset, I had clarified my learners that actually I have not come here as a resource person. I have come here as a counselor, and we shall have interaction. I shall not dictate anything, or I shall not teach anything. I shall just counsel you. If you have any doubt, then you come up. Then we shall discuss. You can also advance your own view. And there are people actually these learners are very well trained, groomed, and they have also well read. They are asking questions very innovative and also very intelligent question they're asking, and I think I've enjoyed this session of learning, session of classes that for last 7 days. This is the last class, I think. In between, I missed one class because I had some assignment. Further, actually, I had not been provided with study materials. These books, it was there in the email, in the electronics device. It is not always possible for me to just reproduce the device on the screen, and I am not technically so much savvy. I am not techno savvy, so to say. Anyway,
Corona has taught technology to every teacher. You see now, every teacher in the normal colleges also are learning how to use the technology in teaching learning environment.
We are giving online teaching now. Anyway, I think I have satisfied the urge for learning of the students, your learners of IGNOU. This is a great platform, big platform, and I hope as a part of this platform, as a part of the system, I'm also very much grateful, as well as I'm grateful to Regional Director, Dr. Tripathi. I'm sorry again that I misspelled your title, Jota. I'm actually dumbfounded because probably I'm tired. Anyway, I'm sorry again that I misspelled your title. I should have remembered it because of our long association.
I know
Suresh bhai, not Tripathi or Hota.
No problem.
Anyway.
Dr. Sahu, if you are online, you should remember one thing. Very few people are coming. The classes are going on so beautifully. Most of the students are, missing this particular opportunity. So can we send them another SMS or something so that they will be informed properly and join in large numbers?
Actually, at the beginning, there were perhaps 18 to 19, 22 students were there. And the screen I was looking. Now, most of them have left the class. Perhaps it has been too late. For last 2.5 hours, this class was running, is running. So, ଅଢ଼େଇ ଘଣ୍ଟା ହେଲା ଚାଲିଛି ବୋଧେ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ପିଲା ବୋଧେ ତାଙ୍କ ଟାୟାର୍ଡ ହେଇକି ପଳେଇବେଣି. So I think I may be permitted to.
But in any case, it will be available in YouTube. So those who have missed, they can see this particular class or witness this particular class in YouTube. And we'll also upload all these recordings in our regional center website. So I think that is not a problem for others, those who have missed. So thank you very much, Dr. Das. And if Dr. Sahu is, I think he's not there. I think there is some connectivity issue. As a result, he is not online. If he is there, he should wind up. Otherwise, we will wind up, no problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, good night, dear learners. meeting you. It is nice to meet you all. It is nice to interact with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Please inform your friends. Inform your friends to join this online class. Students, please inform all your friends. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.